Meine Zeit ist jetzt, mein Gold ist warm und glänzt und nichts kann mich halten.
Welcome tonight in the Arts and Nature Social Club from the Naturkunde Museum in Berlin. It's a great pleasure to have this beautiful location tonight, those amazing people here online and live. How can we as a species get better in contact with nature, better in harmony with everything living? How can we cultivate empathy for everything living and find solutions and inspire for solutions which help us to strive in a bright future?
I'm very happy to be here tonight to see all of you. Somebody is watching us tonight. Speaking of dinosaurs, we again face a time of transition, of extreme changes. It's up to us whether we design these transitions and redraw our world and how we do that.
So we will explore how art can help transform the society and serve as a means to convey sustainability information necessary not only to save the world, but to save ourselves as a human species.
All of that, I would argue we need a completely different economy, an economy that doesn't count in the enormous wealth that nature contributes to our well-being and our economy. How we are tackling climate change will determine how we live on this planet. How we tackle biodiversity crisis will determine whether we are going to live on this planet. So the stakes cannot be higher.
But the worldview of mainstream economics that I and many studied tells us that the shape of progress looks like this. It's a line of ever rising growth, and it's measured, of course, in GDP, national income. And no matter how rich a nation already is, our politicians and economists tell us that its success lies in yet more growth, endlessly, never stopping.
Material things cannot grow endlessly, but less material things or immaterial things might be able to grow endlessly, or to a much higher degree.
The goal is to leave nobody in the hole in the middle, because that is where people are falling short on the essentials of life. Leave no one without the resources they need for food, shelter, housing, education, political voice, equality. Get everybody out of the hole over the social foundation. But, and this is a big but, as we collectively use Earth's resources, we must also ensure that we don't put so much pressure on our planet that we hit this ecological ceiling, because that is where we induce climate breakdown. We acidify the oceans. We create a hole in the ozone layer. We break down the fabric of life with biodiversity loss, as Professor Vogel so eloquently spoke of just now. So the goal of the Doughnut is to meet the needs of all people within the means of the living planet. And instead of the shape of endless growth, we get a pulsing, like thriving in dynamic balance. And it's more like a heartbeat that we know as health in our own bodies.
We need income, but we need to do as much income with least resources. I would love for some institute to kind of research that, and then you look at which sectors have actually the best ratio, resources to income production. Then you might come to very interesting results.
This is where we are. All of the red in this picture shows us that we are way out of balance. So we need to turn this linear, degenerative economy into a circular, cyclical, regenerative economy, so that resources are not used up, they're used again and again, far more carefully, more collectively, more creatively, and more slowly.
I want to do something specialized, like most of us, we want to do something specialized. So farming wasn't really an option. I want to do something specialized which doesn't transform material, because any transformation of material produces carbon dioxide, then enhances all the problems you know all about. And so I thought, oh, what could I do? And I realized dancing. Like if I dance, like this is something, but at the same time it produces and it deproduces. So that like dancing, this sounds maybe strange, but it's actually true, like was for me an economic model. And So that's how I started my work, and then I started making like works which don't use material, and what better place to do it in a place which is focused on materials. You know, then it became very clear what I was doing. Like there's not a material object, but something not material instead.
We have inherited divisive economies that drive value and opportunity into the hands of a few. It's the rise of the global 1%, and we see it within nations. And we need to transform this divisive dynamic into a distributive one, so that resources are shared far more equitably with all who co-create that value throughout society.
Basically, what is so interesting that both of you show us different ways to perceive a system that is established. That's what Kate is doing. And you are showing us different ways how to perceive situations. That's something that's quite important, especially in times when we say we want to go away from material happiness, let's frame it that way, and we want to go into experiences that at some point feel much stronger to us than what we can actually buy.
We need time for these big changes. We need changes in habits. You know? When I start out, I also try to, it also happens to me that I have material impulses, you know, but then I remember why I'm making my work, you know, then I try to find a way that it can be done with humans doing it. You know, I wanted to, for example, do a party to an album I really liked. That was like a vision I had. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I can't do a party to an album I like and play the album and choreograph part of the audience because that's electricity. And I don't work with electricity. Mm-hmm. And then I made a work called This Variation, which maybe some of you did see, which is like 12 people in a dark room kind of making the music, singing. And actually it's a better work, you know? Mm. So actually also the sustainability thing helped me to make probably better work than I would have without it.
We feel the economic system is taken as a law of nature. Maybe you have some more thoughts on how systems thinking can help to convey complexity and help us also to return to nature and maybe a less linear approach to life.
I look through the world and I'm seeing dynamic systems, and it really brought me back to economics and wanting to be part of putting complexity thinking at the heart of our economies. And of course, this is the way to embed economic thinking in the living world, because the living world is the most beautiful, full example a million times over of complex adaptive living systems.
We are all trapped in an economy that doesn't work for nobody other than a few. And deep change is the only way, and let's work together to achieve it. Thank you very much.
I just wanna